a group of kids with us today and younger people. I'm so glad to see you guys. How many of you guys, and this just for anybody really, how many of you guys love a big feast? Can you not tell? Those of you at home, catch the side profile. Can you not? I love a big feast, right? And we feast at times, excuse me, we feast at times like, when are times that we feast? We feast at holidays. When do you feast? Do you feast at your birthday? Do you have a big birthday dinner? Yeah, me too. I have special food I like to eat at my birthday dinner, right? And we feast at times when we get together. I don't know about you all, but we have family, in my family and in Bobby's family, we have family reunions. And what that has normally looked like is a bunch of picnic tables with food all over the picnic tables. And you just go down and you keep putting more food on your plate than probably you should, right? We feast. But there's also something, and you know what? The Bible's full of feasts. There are different feasts that you have on different occasions. But also, the Bible is full of times when they fast. What is fasting? You know, feasts are the way that we celebrate, but fasting is when we give something up, and oftentimes it's tied to food, right? It's things that we give up so that we can replace that time we would have spent, like maybe a meal, or maybe a special food, or maybe, how many of you guys like playing video games, right? Or maybe social media, right? We like a lot of social media, and so we get on and then, you know, we start looking at things on Facebook, and what happens? Oh, hey, here's a memory that came up from 6 years ago that says church is tomorrow. Well, church is today. Oh, it's a distraction. So maybe we fast things that might distract us from spending more time with God. And we replace that with maybe reading our Bible extra, or we replace it by maybe spending time in prayer more, talking to God. Or get this, you know, part of prayer is also listening to God, right? I don't know why he has to remind me of that. Why does God have to remind me of that? Dan, I want you to listen. Shh, be quiet for a minute. Dan, I want you to listen. He says that to me. You know, Pastor Jerry is going to read to us a passage of scripture from the Bible where the Pharisees were fasting, but their fasting kind of got a little bit sideways, got a little bit out of focus. Because, see, they were fasting to show other people how serious they were about loving God and following his law, but it really wasn't about loving God. We fast so that we show God how much we love him and that we want to get closer to him. And, you know, over time, those Pharisees, and you know, we got to love the Pharisees. I got to tell you, recently I've been convicted about how I have thought about the Pharisees, because you know what, they were just people too, trying to do the best that they could, and the thing of it is that, you know, they got a little bit off the mark, and they needed some guidance back to the mark. And how many of us are like that? I'm like that. Every once in a while God needs to tell me, hey Dan, come over here, do this. But see, they were adding more and more things to fast so that it would make them look better to everybody else. I mean, really, instead of about loving God. And then at one point in time, these Pharisees go up to Jesus and say, how come your disciples are not fasting? Why aren't they fasting? And Jesus says, because now is a time to celebrate. So we're in this really big thing called Lent. Kids, you know, that's really close to the word Lent. And I want to make sure you know it's different. Okay? Lent is what your mommy tells your daddy to pull out of his belly button when he's sitting there, right? Pull that lint out of your belly button. The Lenten season is the time where we want to set aside, and it's all in preparation for this big celebration on Easter Sunday. And what do we celebrate on Easter Sunday? We celebrate Jesus' resurrection, right? That's what this whole thing is so that we will draw closer to God. Now, during the season of Lent, it's very important. Every Sunday is like a mini celebration, okay? It's mini feasting, reminding us of what is coming on Easter Sunday morning. So we want to remember that. We feast and we fast. And we do that because there's a lot of stuff to celebrate in this world. There are a lot of good things. There are so many good things happening right now. It's getting better and better. And you know what? Even in the midst of a pandemic, even in the midst of all the political upheaval, even in the midst of all the grown-up things that are going on, kids, even in the midst of all of that, there are things we can celebrate. And we also recognize there are a lot of broken things in this world. Yeah, it's not perfect, is it? I often read the Bible and I see the perfect time when Adam and Eve were in the garden, right? And everything was perfect then before they ate the fruit, whatever that fruit was. And so we live outside of the Garden of Eden and there's lots of brokenness. So we need to fast to observe those things that are broken and to pray to God about those things that are broken. And we do that through fasting. The next 40 days plus our Sundays leading all the way up to Easter is the season of fasting. And we remember most of all, the most important thing is that we all need Jesus. There's lots of reasons why we fast. We fast to draw closer to God. We fast to create space so we can hear God. We fast to make room for God and for Him to work in our hearts and in our world. But we don't fast because we think it's going to help us earn God's love. We fast because we need to be reminded that we need to spend time with God.